Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas or Merry Day After Christmas. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. Welcome to the movement. Welcome to Can We Talk? We are so excited about tonight. We're so happy you decided to join us. We're the movement, the motivational organization here to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. We are a move meant to move. We're so glad you decided to stop by this Wednesday night. Man, it does not seem like we have been doing this long. Did everybody see the video today?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I was going through it looking for the titles and I wasn't able to list them all, but it is so unreal that we have done this many segments. Yeah. And it seems like we just started a couple of months ago, but wow, crazy. So Annette, I'm gonna give you a chance to greet before I get started.
Well, hello everybody. We're so glad you're here as we rush toward 2019. In a few days, it'll be another year, another opportunity. What you haven't done, get going. We, like Anita said, we are the movement. We're excited about moving, and we're putting on our skates. We were walking last year, but now we're putting on our skates. We're beginning to roll into 2019. So we want you to come and join us. Thanks again for sharing with us tonight.
Yeah, it is time to talk. Yes. It's time to chat. It's time to make this thing go. It's going to be exciting tonight. We're happy about tonight's segment, and we're going to start our presentation. I know that when we started this thing, when we first started this entire process, our goal was to share some of the information, and actually all of the information even along the way, but definitely to share the information that caused the scales to fall off of our eyes. We have been operating in a realm that we thought that was it. In most cases, we start to believe that there's one way to start a business. There's one way to start a ministry. There's one way to grow or whatever. And we just get kind of stagnant. We become complacent with the audience that we are with and not really understanding that we have to move past what we know and who we know to get to the next level. If we really want next level living, if we want next level success and next level living, then we have to move to the next level. And we can't just stay in the same spot. So we started on this journey to share with everybody that we came in contact with some of the things that we've learned, some of the things that we've experienced. And in that, every topic that we've discussed was specifically and uniquely designed with all of you in mind. We believe that what we have experienced and what we have to offer is going to help you and everyone involved take your business, your ministry, your movement, whatever it is that you have, all the way into success, into extreme success. So we're excited. So we want to get moving on that tonight. But Annette, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about tonight is when you saw the video today, how did it make you feel? What were your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. When I saw the video, I was very excited and very humbled because I knew we had talked about some stuff, but when I saw it just going across the screen, I said, wow, Annette, you just scratched the surface. So it was a humbling experience that you have given us, because this is a gift, giving us this opportunity to be able to reach people and to share our journey with them and to have them come along with us, because we're on a journey. We want to take as many people as possible. So when I saw that flash across the screen, I said, wow. When I said this to myself, God, look what you have done. That's what my thought was. So I was so excited to see it and to know that you kept us. And we didn't have a clue. We just knew it was time to go. And it's amazing if you just take that step, that leap, like Anita used to say, you flippity floppity, flippity floppity. But if you take that step and you step off that ledge, I guarantee you, he'll catch you. So that's what it was for me, just to see that we're actually beginning to take form. Even when you're pregnant, when you get the baby and, your little seed and it begins to develop. And after a while, at first you don't know, like it looks like a monster or something. But as that baby begins to develop, all of a sudden it looks like a baby. And that's, I think that's where we are now. We beginning to look like a baby. So that's how I felt when I saw that.
Wow. Yeah. So it makes you, when you said you were humble,
yeah,
that's a good word, because it makes you realize just how much you've accomplished, just how much you've done, just how far you've come. And like you said, in that we have only scratched the surface. Yeah. This is just the beginning of what we have yet to do. And when we look at the things that we have yet to share and unveil, it is amazing that so far there's been so much information and so many steps, so many strides. I hear people talk all the time about how they've grown and how they're not afraid of the future, they're not afraid of what's to come. So, and to know where we're going, and actually the next time we come and gather together, we will be in a whole nother year. And in that year, we're like, and I said, we have on skates. We're moving. At the end of that video, I put the Ready, Set, Go stance. That's actually a part of the webinar that we're going to offer come in the new year. It is, the name of it actually is Ready, Set, Go, because we want to see everyone get past that starting block. So many of us stay there and we go back and forth and we teeter-totter. Here's how we look. Ooh, that's a big jump. We're afraid to make the step. So we want to see everybody get past that, because it is scary. But guess what? You will never know if you can succeed. If God gave it to you, he's going to carry you. But you won't ever see it and you won't experience it if you don't try. Because you got to do your part. So on tonight, my good people.
Good night.
Let me get this going. Quite interesting. On tonight, we want to encourage all of you to do this very thing. Check your BP. Now, this is something I've had to do in the natural. I'll put you over here. Put you out of my way. Check your BP. Now, I want to go into this very slow. So if you need to, take out some pen and paper, because this gets very, 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 very interesting.
Always.
Very, very, Britta said always. Very, 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 how many varies can I say? Interesting. So, as we know, we talk about this all the time, especially in the African American community. Blood pressure. Blood pressure is the pressure of the blood in the circulatory system. Now, quite often, I'm sure that I did not help mine these last 2 days, which lately it's been pretty good. But I'm sure that I did not help mine in the last couple of days with, how, we get a little testy around the holiday season, are doing our little thing. But when we look at this, it's the pressure of the blood in the circulatory system. And what it is it's closely related to the force and rate of the heartbeat and the diameter and the elasticity of the walls of your arteries. And we hear that term so often as we get older. Now, I had never really looked at these, all of the aspects of the blood pressure. Only what I used to see on one of my little favorite shows back in the day was Doogie Howser. And, and Doogie used to be, he was smart. Doogie, he'd be saying this little stuff. And, of course, as I got older, I started, like saying some of the same stuff that Doogie would say. But of course, we have to go a little further. So now, the systolic reading, this is when your heart beats, it squeezes and pushes blood through your arteries to the rest of your body. The diastolic reading, or the bottom number, because the top number is the systolic, the diastolic is the bottom. This is the pressure in the arteries when the heart rests between beats. this is the time when the heart fills with blood and gets oxygen. So you have the systolic reading and the diastolic reading. Stay with me. Then what we want to talk about with this, under this check your BP topic, is the blood flow. Now, this is very interesting because blood enters the heart through two large veins. This is Annette stuff right here. She hit me with all of this, and I'm like, Annette, are we really going this scientific? I know a lot of y'all might think this is me. Brenda, you used to me being what you all used to call this Discovery Channel preacher, but this is Annette L. Anderson with the two large veins being the superior and the inferior. The superior carries the blood from the head and chest to the heart, and the inferior carries the blood from the lower body to the heart. So that's the two major large veins. See, I knew my dog was gonna get in here and start whining and whimpering. So he's just gonna have to chill for just a minute. So this is what starts to happen. The blood enters into the heart through these two extremities. Now, we have heard this story, of this particular artery, the main artery being the aorta. When you look at that diagram, that's that red one going straight up the center. Another thing to understand is that the heart has 4 chambers. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting. Hey, is that Ebony that came to join us? I can't see her. Okay, I'm gonna come over here so I can mute everybody. Now, the heart has 4 chambers. When we look at this particular situation here, I want to back up just a little bit. I want to back up just a little bit because I want to tell you a little something else about the superior and the inferior veins, and the superior. Now listen, when I thought about this after I put this whole piece together, considering how many blood vessels and capillaries, I mean, when you study anatomy and physiology, it's just like crazy how much it takes for blood to flow through your body and how important it is that all of those little things function properly. Because without it, what happens? The body can't function.
Yeah.
We have to have all of those little things. Everything has to work. Everything has to work. And I thought about that, like, wow, that's crazy considering that the heart has 4 chambers. Now look at that little diagram down at the bottom. It has 4 chambers, being the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. The right atrium receives oxygen-poor blood from the body and pumps it into the right ventricle. Then the right ventricle pumps the oxygen-poor blood into the lungs. The left atrium receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs and pumps it into the left ventricle. The left ventricle acts as a holding chamber for the blood from the lungs and to the other parts of the heart. Now, when you look at that whole thing, it's like crazy to see it from that aspect. 4 chambers, and each chamber, I don't know if you're following the whole concept here, that you have the right atrium and the right ventricle, the left atrium and the left ventricle. One receives oxygen poor, and it comes from the body, all of the stuff from the body. And then that right side, atrium into ventricle, that pumps the oxygen poor blood into the lungs because it needs oxygen. Then the left atrium takes the oxygen-rich blood. See, it goes in oxygen poor, comes out oxygen-rich. And then it pumps it into the left ventricle, and that's the holding place. Because every organ in your body needs oxygen-rich blood in order to function properly. Isn't this something?
And that's something. Would that be on the next slide or this slide?
No, it's on this side.
Okay. Okay.
It's on this one. I think I'm on the right one. Let me go back to where I was. Hold on a second.
This one have the diagram of the right and the left atrium and the
Okay. Let me go back in.
Yeah, next.
Blood enters the heart through the large veins, superior and
okay.
inferior.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The aorta is the main artery, and the heart has 4 chambers. These are the 4 chambers down here in the bottom.
Okay.
Now, we're going to go to another section where we talk about blood flow. The right atrium receives oxygen-poor blood from the body and pumps it into the right ventricle. The right ventricle pumps the oxygen-poor blood into the lungs. Now, the left atrium is the and we talked about that being the holding chamber, right? Now
Yes.
let's go to this next one called the matter of the heart. The heart of the matter. The heart of the matter. This is where all of this comes to play. Because when we talk about BP, we're not talking about your blood pressure. We're talking about your brand position.
Yes.
We're talking about your brand position. All of us know if you are on here and if you have started a business or starting a movement or you're getting ready to move into something, I want you right now to type into the chat box what your business or what your movement is. Let's just take a moment right there. I'm going to stop the share for a second. If you have a business, a movement, a ministry, or something that you're functioning in, I want you to type what it is in the chat box. Just type it in. Ebony is music. And that is some quotes. Nonprofit organization, that's me. Healing the Onion Journey, adding value to people's lives, and my cookbooks emphasizing family. Catering, Sharon. Transformational coach, me. Music management and consulting. So now that I see a lot of people, like Brenda, you put down 2, which is great. If you have more than one area that you're working in or working on, type it in. Gifts. Oh, that's, you're talking about your acronym gifts.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to kind of expound. We don't know what that is.
Oh yeah. Nobody. Okay.
You're going to give me a present. So when you look at all of this, stuff, there's everybody on here has something that they're aspiring to. They have something that they're working towards, something that they're trying to build, something that they want to walk into, something that they want to give and share. But in order to do that, number 1, people got to know who you are. Number 2, they got to know what you do. And number 3, they have to know where you are. If they don't know you and don't see you, if they can't reach you, and if they don't really understand what you do, then 9 times out of 10, it might be a pretty picture or a nice little post, but it won't get any attention because you haven't really given an insight as to who you are and what you do.
Mm.
This is why you have to make sure that your BP is in check. If you had problems with your blood pressure in the natural, You have to go to the doctor. When you have problems with your BP in your business, I've heard there was a guy that I used to work with years ago, and he called himself the brand doctor. Never understood it till now. The brand doctor, what is that? Why do you call yourself the brand doctor? He said, because people just don't understand in this day and age, they need a brand. And brands have been, a thing for years, forever. But people don't look at themselves as a brand. They don't look at what they do or what they're building as a brand. They're looking at it as just something to do. But when you look at it as a brand, it has to package. It has to have a consistency. You have to have a consistent theme and message, and then you have to be visible. Why do you think a 2-year-old know the Golden Arches? You can pass by a McDonald's, and they're going to ask for chicken nuggets and French fries every time.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you try to do the healthy thing.
Yeah.
But they're seeing Ronald McDonald on television, and somebody, an auntie or a cousin somewhere, has introduced them to the nice poison of McDonald's, and they have experienced it. So once you've experienced something and you can connect with it and recognize it, you're going to want it. And that's the power of advertisement. But if your brand does not stand out, if your brand is not flowing properly, if everything about your brand does not work, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to get lost in the sea of what you do. Make sense?
Yeah, Anita, let me say this before you move on. Like you said about gifts, when I just wrote gifts, like you said, that could be just a present I'm giving you. So that's a prime example. All I did was like gift. Well, what is gifts? And then once I expound, that give a person a little better understanding what it is. So that's a prime example when you said it's like giving you a present. Like, oh, okay.
I have to know what you do.
Yeah.
I have to know who you are in order to, it doesn't help me any.
Yes.
If I don't have any information. Get it? Yep. And all of that has to be spelled out in your brand. How many of you actually feel like you have a great brand? How many of you feel like you have a great brand? Because I can tell you mine sucks. I don't even have to type that in. But if you feel like you have a great brand for your business or for your movement or for whatever it is that you do, type in, I have a great one. If you don't think you have a great one, type in, needs work. If you suck like me, you type in, it sucks, because mine does. Because honestly, for those of you who have been with us now, we've been doing this since May of 2018. Wow, that is crazy that we've been doing it this long.
Is that something?
That is crazy that we've been doing it this long. So what is it that you have, what is it that drew you to the movement other than whether or not you knew the people who were putting it on? What was it about the brand, or what was it about what you saw that actually has you coming on to Zoom? Come on, chat. This is Can We Talk? We got to talk tonight. Y'all can type it in or say it. You can unmute yourself and say it or whatever. But what is it about the movement that drew you?
Well, I'm a part of the movement, but can I say what? Okay. What drew me to the movement is the word move. And what drew me is the ladies that were all a part at the time. And I saw movement because I've been stagnant for so long. And I saw something that I can actually maybe take a little baby step, maybe crawl, And I think the word move got me going. It was exciting to me now. The stuff we talked about, the things well, I guess what really drew me to the movement is the possibilities. I was no longer limited. I even have on my wall right now Mark 10:27, and Jesus looking up into them and said, with me it is impossible, but with God, for with God all things are possible. I keep that on my wall. I can look at it every time I wake up in the morning. So was the possibility that drew me.
Wow. I see somebody wrote the approach and then conveyance of information. That was Brenda.
Oh, Brenda.
The approach and the conveyance of information. That's interesting. I'm going to tell you, when I I'm not completely visual. I mean, I can see stuff before I see it. But and for those of you who actually have been following us and pay attention, I'm sure that in the video that we posted today, you saw a glimpse of the new logo.
Oh, yeah.
And we're actually going to unveil it, completely on all of the platforms in the next couple of days or so. But when we first started targeting doing this whole process, Annette is the one, she's very gifted in many ways. She's the one who creates all of our logos. So she works with the graphics artist. She creates, she actually tells them what they want, what she wants, and then she can tell you she's a hardball. She goes in. So she so she creates the logos, and when she first sent that logo, it leaped out to me. It like really grabbed me. Please excuse my puppy. I swear, I wanted to close this door, but my sister don't feel good. When she created that particular logo, I was drawn to just the preciseness of it, because it said everything that we wanted to convey, and it felt like a movement. When I see something like that, I feel it. It feels good to me. It feels real. It kind of leaps off the page. So that makes, when something can grab you like that, it makes sense. It's vibrant, and it actually has your character. And I felt like it had our character. And even though we used it for the entire year of 2018, when we turned the corner and started moving into where we're going now, we felt the need to change it. Even though the information is the same, the color scheme and all of that is the same. Everything, there's nothing about it that changed except the look of it, because where we're going is a whole nother level. So we just modified it. And that speaks volumes about a lot of us. Sometimes, there's some of us who may have been using something for a period of time and it no longer works. It works for where you were, but it doesn't work for where you're going. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it just takes you to have to, to make some changes. Ebony said, oh, I didn't realize it either, Ebony, that you were sending a message to me personally. She said, Lifeologist, you started at the very moment I was close to being lost. Wow, that's crazy. You started at the very moment I was close to being lost. You know what? But you know what? You're not now, and that's a wonderful thing about it. And yes, we're lifeologists. We're not psychologists. We just share what we've experienced and what we deal with on a daily basis. So now that we're getting into this place now that we're talking about really starting to piece these things together. We can shout with the best of them. We can hallelujah and get our groove on all day long. But a lot of times there are a lot of us who go through the motions and never really come out on the other side doing anything different. Annette, how long would you say, well, actually, don't give me in years, but just give an overview of how you would say you wasted a lot of time just sitting and, magically waiting for the moment to happen, that God was just going to move you mysteriously into your dreams?
Well, I wasted a lot of time because I have a tendency to get focused on something and just sit and stare. And I look up time have gone by. And that's because I really didn't know where I was going. I had no concept, no idea. I know who I am, and I said this one time. I said, I want to be more than Yolanda's and Shauna's and Elena's mother. I want to be more than Leonard's wife. I want to be more than the oldest of 8 siblings. So I wanted, because, that's who people see me as, but I wanted to be who God called me to be. Mm-hmm. You could be a lot of things, but really not be a whole lot of things, and so that gave me it gave me a different outlook when I became a part of the movement, because now I felt like I was a part of something. Basically what I did, I went to work, I paid my bills, I went to sleep, I got up, that kind of thing. And I had no dream and no vision. you know, I mean, everybody dream, oh, I'm gonna win the lottery and I'm gonna win 300. Chances are you're not going to win the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you wondered how many, you know, I mean, if that's the biggest dream you have, you may want to, or you may want to go to sleep and try to ask God to give you another dream, because you may, but your chances are very slim. So whatever time, this is how I look at my life. And it goes back to what Glenda said about time. You know, even though that time is gone, it don't mean I'm not in my timing, you know?
Right.
So that time is gone, but I think I'm in my timing now, because if this would have happened a year or two ago, I wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got a different mindset. And so that was my problem, was that it wasn't that I couldn't do it. I had to change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something to give me a different outlook.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wasted a lot of time, but I'm right on time.
All right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, Shannon. Hey, let me make sure she's muted. Hold on. Oh, Shannon has to turn her mic on. Give me 1 second. She's new.
Oh, okay.
She has to turn her mic on. Okay. So I'm gonna go back in now.
Okay.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the old landmark that we.
Girl, you took it out of my mind. Well, all I need to do is start clapping, okay?
Let us all go back to the old landmark. Now we're at the heart of the matter, and we're talking about our brand position. And you know, basically, the brand is the identity. That's the identity of your business or whatever it is that you are working. But you know, oftentimes we kind of get stuck right there because we don't understand what it is that sets us apart. And I think I made a mistake and went to the next line, but that's okay because we're dealing with the blood flow. This is your blood flow, your heartbeat, your blood flow, your business input and output. Now, sometimes we get a little mixed up right here because we want to give so much of who we are. We want, and one thing you have to do, especially when you have a business or a movement or a ministry, you can't give everything. You have to hold back some stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can be so caught up and so messed up in this process that we don't realize that, like, wow, I really need to kind of like pull back some. I really need to pull back some. I really need to kind of, like make this not make myself so transparent. In some instances and in some businesses, you do need to be a little transparent, but you don't have to tell all your business. And you don't have to show everything, every part of what you have become, because there's some things that may be meant for later. But basically what you want to do is you want to just share the identity of who you are. The blood flow, your blood flow of your business is your input and output, your internal and your external. Now, when we talked about this earlier, looking at this diagram, you see all of those visible parts, the 4 chambers of the heart. You see the main artery, you see the left ventricles, you see the right ventricles, you see how the blood comes from the bottom extremities, and how that blood that comes from the brain, everything, all roads lead where?
To the heart.
All roads lead to the heart. So if everything about you is intact with your brand, and if your brand is jacked up, then guess what?
Yeah.
Everything else is jacked up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What you saying that?
I say, yep, I'm agreeing.
If your brand is jacked up, everything is.
Yeah.
You've got to like make sure that brand is on point. And that brand is your identity matters. Your identity matters more than anything. Because when people see you, when they see that brand, they're gonna attach that to you.
Yeah.
You ever notice, like, when a person is real jacked up at a church, people don't blame the person; they always blame the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? That's pastors do be jacked up a lot, and the people, we're people. A lot of people who are jacked up in whatever they do. But if you own a business, like they're not going to say, oh, child, you saw that girl over at Culinary Roots restaurant? And she blah, 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 blah. They're not going to say anything about the employee. And Brenda Jackson, especially with somebody who know you, they sure going to call your name out. Right? And everybody starts attacking the brand.
You want to go there, Chad.
It's the heartbeat. And I'm telling you, you have to be very, very careful because people just really don't care. Okay, we're going to go back in. Let's go back in. Now, wait for my little stuff to pop up here. Heart of the matter. Your BP is your brand position. Your blood flow is your business input and output, your internal and external. Mm-hmm. We talked about how we talked about this earlier. We're going to push him aside a little bit. Remember, we talked about where the blood flows from, how it flows into one side, and that oxygen pore goes in, and then it takes the oxygen pore through the heart into the lungs. And then they take that oxygen pore and it becomes oxygen rich and it goes out into the holding tank. When it comes to your personal brand, your right atrium is your emotion. Your right ventricle is your intellect. Let's just look at that for a minute. Now, be careful with emotions because they lie. Ooh. Did you know that emotions lie? Emotions are the great liar. I read that years ago.
Wow.
That when you govern yourself according to your emotions, you are setting yourself up for a downfall. Mm. Oh. Because your emotions will lie to you every time. That is crazy.
Wow.
That is crazy. So when we look at your right atrium, that's your emotion. Your left ventricle is your intellect. Now, what do we say the right atrium does? The right atrium receives the oxygen poor blood from the body, and it pumps the oxygen poor blood into the lungs. So your emotions sometimes will bring in all kind of stuff. You have to filter it. It has to be filtered. So you take what's emotional, and instead of dealing with it from an emotional standpoint, you have to take it through your intellect. Mm. Because when you intellectually sit down and decipher the madness, 9 times out of 10, you're going to come to the realization that, you know what? It wasn't that deep after all.
Wow. How many times?
Huh?
I said, how many times?
How many times exactly?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Let's go back a little bit. I'm sorry I have to keep starting this every time. Move out of the way. Boom. I want to get through these, and then I want to go to the next page, which is going to really bring all of this together. Right atrium, emotions. Right ventricle, intellect. Left atrium, conscious. Left ventricle is the will or the holding chamber. Let me stick a pin in that because we talked about this earlier.
Yeah. We
talked about how once that oxygen-rich blood is taken from the left atrium, by the left atrium, and it takes it to the left ventricle, which acts as a holding chamber.
Yes.
So when we look at our emotions, the right atrium, we take down all of that stuff that comes in on our emotions. We get angry. We get frustrated with employees. We get frustrated in the building process. We get frustrated with family. We have haters. We have all kinds of stuff going on. So our emotions are in play with what we're doing. We have a vision. We know what we want to do. We know what our brand is. We know what the business is, but our emotions get tied up in it. So when we take what's emotional and put it through intellect, we can filter out the madness. Then once we take it through that part, the left atrium, remember, when we talk about from the heart, the left atrium receives the oxygen-rich blood. So what happens is our conscience takes all of that good stuff, all that rich stuff. That's the oxygen-rich stuff, the stuff that everybody needs. And we take it to the will. And what you will to do is what you will do.
Yes.
And when your will is lined up Ha, come on, somebody. When your will is lined up, then everything that you're functioning in begins to flow a whole lot better. Because now you've taken emotion to intellect and intellect to conscious and conscious to will. That's some good stuff, y'all.
It is.
That's some good stuff. Now, it's going to take me all the way back again, which I don't know why it keeps doing that. I think I'm doing something wrong. So now let's go back. Let's go past this. We're going to go to the next page here. Boom. What we've got to do, we've got to know our BP. This is where it all comes down to. Now, of course, a lot of us have gone to the doctor and the doctor said we had what? High blood pressure. It's very prominent in our community. So what we have to do is we have to get to the point that we know how to regulate the pressure. We have to reduce it. There's no way around it. There are some things and some people that just don't belong where you are. But so often we want to take everything and everybody in the door. Why is that, Annette?
Well, we do that because we just want them to go with us. And we have to understand that sometimes they become baggage. And it's just a suitcase you got to leave at home. You just do.
You just got to leave some stuff at home. Some stuff is just not meant to go.
It's just not meant to.
Some stuff is just not meant to go. So now, blockers, man your station. When I first started dealing with hypertension, which I'm grateful now, I have a testimony that I'm not even on medication right now, because since I've been doing some different things with my health, I've not had to take high blood pressure medication. And I don't think I'm going to go back on it. I'll know when I go back to see my doctor in January. But when I first started taking blood pressure medication, there were certain things that the doctor gave me that I had to do. Oh, somebody said something in here. I hate them when I miss it. Oh, Brenda, she had said we like comfort. Yeah, that's true. That is so true, Brand. We do. We like comfort. We like company. We want to take people with us because we like comfort. We like company. We don't want to be alone. And being by yourself in your purpose or in your vision is a lonely place because it's a place of obscurity. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of, in the thing that we do as far as our business or our movement is concerned, when we first step out there, it's a tough place. It's a lonely place. It's a cold place. But it's the place where seeds take root and grow. Yeah. And when we can get to a place that we understand that our seeds that we plant, the things that we do, the things that we are operating in, need that place of nurturing, it makes life a whole lot easier. Have you found that to be so, Annette? Yes, I have. Yeah, and then we like people to be with us because we like that affirmation and that attaboy, saying, you're doing a good job. We need that somebody to affirm us. And when you're by yourself, you got to be like David. Mm-hmm. You got to encourage yourself, and that's the difficult part. Sometimes when you walk alone, you got to have that attaboy. Yeah, need that attaboy. Now, when we talk about blockers, man your station, when I first started taking high blood pressure medication, there were a couple of things that I had to do. I had to deal with something called beta blockers. Mm-hmm. Beta blockers are what, the scientific thing is it's something called a beta adrenergic, something like that. It's a crazy medication. And what it does is that it targets this hormone that is produced in the adrenal gland that sits on top of the kidneys. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when people who are having high blood pressure problems, you have kidney problems as well, because a lot of that starts to associate with each other. Once one thing in the body starts to break down, and everything else just starts to kind of, start to go downhill. And with high blood pressure, it affects so many different things in the body. So you have beta blockers, and then you have alpha blockers, which relaxes certain muscles and helps the small blood vessels remain open. They dilate, and what happens with this is that this lowers the blood pressure. So what we have in the natural, we have to associate our beta blockers. Because haters are going to target all of the good things about you. Haters will attach to those things that make you take flight. Haters will put weight on your wings. Haters will tell you what you can't do, why you shouldn't do it. And these, and we have to, let me tell you, and it's not just haters. Sometimes it's those people that you're trying to take with you who just don't understand the vision. If they don't have a desire to grow or to move past where they are, then 9 times out of 10, they're not meant to be attached to your business, because all they are is a weight. They may love you and you may love them, but in the words of Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? If you're meant to go to another level, you're not moving and growing because you have the wrong people attached to your vision.
Yeah.
Now, if you're satisfied with where you are, then you have plateaued. But if you keep dreaming about something bigger, then you need to start dealing with these beta blockers. You need to get the beta blockers going, and you need to deal with the alpha blockers, because all of the pressure and the stress, it starts to squeeze you. It squeezes the life out of you. And what alpha blockers does is that it relaxes certain muscles and it helps the small blood vessels open. It helps them to dilate. And when they dilate, everything can flow smoothly. So when you don't have anything or anybody squeezing the life out of you, your business can grow. You can think better. You are more creative. But how much are you going to do with the blockers? How much do you really think you're going to get done with the blockers? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Mm.
The other thing that we have to do is get rid of the excess. When you have high blood pressure in the natural, what do they prescribe you? A diuretic. Some of y'all might not be as old as me. but they give you a diuretic, or what people in the hood might say a water pill. And
okay, now we're talking.
That's what you call it. It gets rid of the excess fluid in the body. We carry so much excess. Old ideas that don't work, out of date stuff that is no longer functioning. The computer is 20 years old and you refuse to buy a new one. I ain't trying to talk about your phone and that, but there's some people who still working on it. I know we talk about your phone all the time. There's more to life than the iPhone, I get, but when your Android, is like, when it can't download apps, then it's time.
Yeah, you might be
and you get a better Android if you're going to do Android. I don't have anything against them. It's just for some business, the iPhone is just so much more simpler, so much more universal. However, if you're going to have an Android, at least update it. Got to get rid of the excess. There's some stuff that just doesn't work. We talked about this in Declutter and Dechatter, how our closet is so full of clothes that we know we was a size 10 back then, and girl, I'm going to get back in. No, you're not. No, you're not. Stop having that dream. Whenever that mystical, magical moment happens, they go buy some new ones. But get rid of the excess. Get rid of all of the stuff that you don't use. Get rid of the excess. It's in the way. Because when you do this, you have an emotional advantage. There's an advantage to taking care of yourself, to putting things in perspective. When we're getting rid of junk, body fluid, stress, clearing the path so it can work properly. When you have an emotional advantage, your customers and people who deal with you, They will feel so good about your brand that they don't even want to go anywhere else. Because you have touched them in a way that nobody else has. Because number one, your brand spoke, and then when they showed up, you were in the very image that they felt from the brand. That brand is an extension of you. That brand says everything about who you are and what you have to offer. So you have an emotional advantage. That's crazy. I look at this and I'm moved by, you know, like I say, and we're very transparent. I'm moved by the situation that I knew that I had myself into. And we talked about this earlier, and I can't remember what week we talked about it, but we talked about how, you know, we had to learn the difference between having a business and owning a job.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made a big difference to me. Emotional advantage, distinctive advantage, and connective advantage. Now, when we talk about distinctive advantage, we're talking about the things that are uniquely compelling. What is unique about you? You have an advantage on the emotions because the customers feel you. But there's a distinctive advantage because you are unique. You are the only one who can do it the way I need it done. You're the only one. When I want the right recipes, I'm coming to Brenda. When I want my child to dance a certain way, I'm going to Shannon. When I want my catering business to operate a certain way, I'm going to Sharon. You're the only one that can give me what I need. And you are important to my future. So not only do you have an emotional advantage and a distinctive advantage, but you have a connective advantage because you create meaningful connections. You have created such a meaningful connection that they feel like they are your family. They feel like they know you. There's a difference when somebody feel like you like their little cousin on their mama uncle side. That makes a big difference. And when they can feel like that with you, they will stick with you for life. And y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Somebody said this to me one day, because you know when Obama was president, people would get so. I mean, people still get emotional about Obama. Don't we talk about Barack Obama? Don't we talk about Barack Obama? And he said, "Y'all act like Barack Obama, y'all cousin." But that's how we felt. That's how it made us feel. It made us feel like, wow, he's from my backyard. I know him. I felt like I went to school with Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? I felt like he was like my cousin on my mama's side. He's my stepbrother, third cousin removed. So when you have the emotional, distinctive, and connective advantage, this is your guide for your internal and external. This is what's going to funnel all of the stuff properly. Everything that you need to go into your brand is good. Because once it goes through your brand, once it gets down to the heart of the matter, when you get all of your information and all of your tools and all of everything, remember now that heart has to squeeze. And the blood that comes out of the heart is what goes to the rest of the organ. So when that guide through your internal comes in right and it gets the right type of oxygen and all of the stuff, all of the tools and all of the information and all of your instructors and all of your workers and everybody's got the right idea about the brand, when the brand squeezes, when that heart pumps, everyone who encounters your business is blessed because the external is good, because your brand position is right. You anchor your brand culture. It's solid. It's anchored. It's right. And you gain clarity and confidence. Because now you know. Now it gets real. This is where it gets real, people. We've been talking about it, And I know a lot of us we've been walking this walk a little slow, and we've gotten to the end of the year. We're a little slim on here. Everybody's still full from Christmas. People still, opening presents and doing whatever else they got to do. But now that we've come down to the wire. So now, what is it that we're going to do? Are we really going to walk in this thing? Because I'm here to tell you, if you're ready for Ready, Set, Go, it's coming up. Ready, Set, Go is coming up. If you saw the video today, you saw that little girl at the starting block. And we've been talking about it now, because in our next discussion, guess what? You're going to have to bring pen and paper, because we have a downloadable worksheet that we're going to send you. Because you won't just be sitting here watching the internet have a conversation and sometimes chiming in at the end. No, this is called Can We Talk? And we got to know each other pretty good up on here. All righty. So let's talk. What you think, Brenda? I see you over there blowing.
I am in awe, but I am so excited for what I don't see. If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
It's just, I promised myself that this cookbook would be out before 2018 left here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was determined to do that. And I made decisions for that to happen. Mm-hmm. I took hiatus from ministries that I was involved in at church. I made decisions about things I would and would not do. So there was a lot of no's where there used to be a yes, because no one else was going to write the book, but more importantly, no one else could, because it's mine. It's my brain. It's my heart. I know what colors I like. I know what layout. I know the kind of pictures. I like vibrance. I like things that represent me, that show that I know what I'm doing, because I do know. So, and it's done, and had the book reveal everything. So I'm excited. Okay, but that's done. Now we keep moving. And so when you were speaking earlier about, our brand and everything, and people, and you mentioned something, and it brought back a book that I read. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's by Spencer Johnson. And I read it some years ago, but we're having our students in our stewardship ministry read it. And of course, I'm going to read it again. But it's just so true, because what happens is we'll start out on something, and then we just decide, okay, it's not working out. It can work out. It's just that the cheese moved. So you have to move where the cheese is.
That's true.
So it's like, and Ned, I'm not picking at you, but if the phone don't do what it needs to do, that means you can't get to the cheese. So you got to get the right tool.
It's all right.
Cheese, and even with the computer, I have a small little laptop, but since I'm constantly going to meetings and this and that, I have a desktop, but I need a real laptop. So who better to invest in but me and everything that's coming out of me? It's like this. We're a tree, and there's roots to that tree. And so the way a tree grows is not straight up, it's out. Because those are the branches. As the rain comes down and the water flows underneath, those roots are there, but we grow out this way. And those are the various levels that God has given you in vision, because it's not just one little stick standing out of the ground. So much. One branch can have many smaller branches that equate to that one heavy branch there. So it's just, we got to be prepared. So this helps prepare me, but it also reminds me. So that's why I'm sitting here going, wow. And when you're ready, God will line it up. Because one of my people that I work with, he was asking me, okay, with the book, what you going to do? I said, well, I love teaching people how to cook, and I want to do online courses. Guess what his godson's father does? He sets up the websites for educational online courses. God lining this thing up for me. So wow. I'm getting my connections now.
Excellent.
So yeah, so that's why I'm just at wow.
See, and that's what we've been. We've been like, there's so many things, Brenda, when we start talking about it, there's so many things that all of us on here collectively know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't exhaust or maximize all of our worth. We just
Right.
don't. Shannon said earlier, she said she loves that book, Who Moved My Cheese? I said I have to read it. And she said she's so excited listening to this. And I'm glad that she's on tonight. She's an entrepreneur. And
okay.
I've watched her. I actually went to one of her functions. She has a dance school.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you. And you know, I'm very critical. I have never been to a more incredibly well thought out, well planned, just beautiful, like from beginning to end recital. It was amazing. And of course, not just because Amori was on there doing her little two-step, but just, you know, watching the whole thing from beginning to end. And, you know, I have been to many, but that one by far. And she's so full of like so many different possibilities. Her daughter signs her record label. She's managing her. And I think that she has great possibilities coming. Let me tell you, we have to put together our revenue streams as people, as individuals,
Yeah.
and exhaust all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of what we're doing in the masterclass that's to come is we're going through a process called finding the streams. And because most of the time when we look at what we know how to do, there are about 3 or 4 different ways in that stream to make money. And you don't have to be married to each stream in order for it to prosper.
Exactly.
There's a way to set things up so that you can make money while you're sleeping.
Yep. Yep.
But we don't exhaust the measures. I'm so excited listening to this. Oh, thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Shannon. It's the truth. But I want us to really, like Brenda, it really blesses me to hear you speak, because I know I've watched you evolve over the years, and to watch you come out with your second book. She's done 2 books to my 0, and I was the one who talked about doing a book first. And I'm just getting finished with my first book. Actually, I have 2 that are coming out, but you know, it's still, one is an ebook and one is a regular book. But it's crazy how we don't really, you know, like think of what we're doing, you know, when we're doing it until we see somebody else. We're like, oh, wait a minute, she done that twice. And then you don't think about that you've done it. You're like, wait a minute, I did it. Because Annette said the other night, she's like, I'm an author. Like, yeah, you are. You're an author. You turn your book into Claudette, finally. You're an author. And it really gets real when you get the manuscript back. Because it's like, now it looks like a book. And it's like, wow, it just wows you. So I'm excited about each and every one of you and what you have coming up. Let me tell you, 2019 is going to be a trip. And I still say, and I will keep saying it, the next movement when it comes to everything in the world, be it in the body of Christ, in business, in politics, in everything, is going to be through the woman. I believe it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I believe it wholeheartedly. I feel that in my gut. It started last year. You know, the Me Too movement was great. And, you know, with the women's march during the last year during the inauguration, that was bigger than the inauguration. But when we look at all of that transpired and in the beginning of the year of 2018, I think it started a fire burning in a lot of women who didn't even realize that was a fire starter, because I surely didn't. Everything that came upon me now that I'm doing now came within this year. So now that we're here, approaching a new beginning, going into a new year, we have to line ourselves up.
Yeah.
We have to get ready to move past the start line. It's time to stop talking about what we want to do and actually do it.
Agreed.
Y'all ready? Ebony, you ready? I know you want to say something. We cannot leave this night without hearing from a few more people. I see Sharon is still muted, Ebony's muted, and Shannon muted. Karen gonna stay muted. She'll never say nothing.
Karen gonna surprise you here.
You guys can unmute yourself to talk, or you can raise your hand. Shannon, I don't even know if you know how to raise your hand. Shannon, rather keep saying Sharon. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute, what did I do? Okay, there's everybody. Ebony?
That was me.
No, that that and the other box.
I was listening to everything, but like as you were saying, like you don't have to have like, you know, this one thing or whatever. Music is my main thing that I'm working towards. However, I have a lot of different things that I actually do.
Mm-hmm.
I bake. I'm a really great baker, actually. I just have a hard time with trying to mail my cakes like back and forth in different places. And I just had a cousin, an older cousin, kind of teach me a little bit on how she does hers. But that's kind of that's referring to that "Where's My Cheese" book.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, my children is just they got tablets, so it's just loud.
Tablets. Yeah, that seemed to be the gift of choice this year.
It
Yeah,
brings a lot of silence when you need it,
it does.
except for the tablet.
That with some headphones is great, especially when you get the
Yeah,
kitties.
actually, I gotta go get the headphones. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my main thing right now is just like it is building my brand. My thing is I'm trying to figure out so hard in different ways on how to build my brand. I really
Mm-hmm.
don't. I'm still learning because I'm very
Mm-hmm.
shy. I'm very doubtful and fearful and self-conscious and stuff like that. So I'm still learning. I actually started trying to work on some of those things today, but
Well, you
yeah, I'm just
definitely want to be here next week because we're going to start working on that, which is why we have some downloadable things that we're going to send out. So, make sure you can print it if you need it sooner, because I'm going to send out an email. If you need it sooner than the night of the broadcast, because some people may not have access to a printer at home, or you may, like give you time to get some ink for one, because most of the time that's the case. I have a printer, but don't have so I have a printer, don't have paper. So we'll give you time to get your ink and your paper and all of that, because we're going to do that more often. But this is something that we're going to dig into next week. We're going to dig into putting together all of the pieces. And by the time we get ready to do the webinar and the masterclass, all of those components will start to come together. We have everything. We have all of the templates. We have all of the worksheets. We have all of the charts and everything that you need, from business plans to email templates to putting together some people call it an elevator pitch, some people call it a snap. But putting together everything that you need to get the investors, to get everything that you need for your business, because it's out there. We just have to go get it. And sometimes, some of us, and I'm gonna say us because I'm a church girl through and through, but some of us, church folks start to think that, we can't get it. That woe is me spirit. The devil is a liar. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. I want all of mine. I want everything that I'm supposed to have access to. We've been talking about milk and honey mindset. It's time to get the milk and honey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Linda. I want to bathe in it and swim in it and put it on my face. I want to eat it, drink it, all of that. I want all my milk and honey. Shannon, you didn't miss anything. I wanted you to speak, though. I actually called on you to speak. If you want to unmute yourself and say something, that would be great. Marilyn, Sharon, Shannon. I'm sorry, Ebony. I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh no, you're fine. I was just soaking everything in. That's all I'm really doing is just soaking everything in.
Mhm.
That's really it.
I
Okay,
unmuted
hold on.
Shannon.
Am I unmuted?
I unmuted you. You're unmuted now.
Oh, hi everybody.
Oh,
Hi.
This is my first time on, and it's actually very interesting. I'm just excited about all the things that I've heard, and
Do you know how to turn on your camera?
I don't want my camera on because
She didn't do her hair.
my hair's in two ponytails.
Oh, by the way, Shannon, Ebony that's on here is Traction's sister.
I'm sorry, Traction's what?
Sister.
Hi, Ebony.
Hi.
Your brother is so incredibly talented.
I hear that all the time. He really is from birth, from very little. He's always been like that. So it's not even surprising.
Hey, Brenda, and hey, Annette. How are you?
Hello. Fine. How are you?
It's nice to meet you guys. This is my first time on, actually. I'm just like really excited. So much good information, and I'm so inspired. I'm just like, I need to get myself together, get this brand together, utilize all the resources and stuff like that. So I'm excited about just, being able to be a part of a group that's, very encouraging and stuff like that. So I'll be tuning in more.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we're glad to have you. We're glad you stopped by. You could be doing anything else, but we're happy that you came by to sit with us tonight. So, let me tell you something. It's going to get more and more interesting, people. We're, for the next year, we have already put together an abundance of topics that we're ready to start moving into. And we're ready to start piecing together all of our components and all of our information. And we're going to bring some people on. We have some guests lined up in 2019, and we're moving full speed ahead. I know you probably saw on our video today that we're going into the year where we're going to have symposiums and, of course, webinars and master classes that we've been talking about. But we're going to have our first live gathering in 2019. So we're excited. We're excited. We're excited. We want to see this thing like really take off and go beyond here. We're happy with where we are, but we know that we have a whole nother level to go to, as do all of you. Everybody on here has so much in them, and the world needs to experience what's inside you. I guarantee you that you've only tapped into probably about 10% of what's in there. And one of the things that we talked about, I can't remember which segment it was on, but we talked about how there's about 12 point something percent of us, as far as skill and ability, will really determine our success. But 80 something percent is all about our attitude.
Yeah.
It's your attitude. And if your attitude is defeated, and if your attitude and you start speaking and spewing everything negative, everything from your limiting beliefs over what you have envisioned, then you're going to kill it before the seed even gets a chance to take root with your own mouth and your own thoughts. It's time to change that. It's time to uproot all of that madness. We've been working and pulling and weeding out and raking and turning the soil, and we planted seeds and we've been watering. We're entering into harvest time, because remember what Glenda told us a couple of weeks ago, that the time is shortened. We're living in the day and age where the season between when we sow a seed and we reap the harvest has been shortened.
Yeah.
That's in Amos chapter 9. The time between seed and harvest, boom. It's accelerated. Everything about the world now is faster. Look at the computer. Look at the internet. I can tell you in 10 seconds something. You can ask me a question. I might not know it. I can look it up in 10 seconds on the internet. Everything is faster. We have microwave ovens. I can see you faster than I can get to you. Everything is accelerated. So that means that when you have a vision, you need to wake up from the vision, and within that moment, start to work, because it's become alive right there. Not, oh, well, maybe in about 12 years. No, in about 12 years, you're on to phase 3 and 4 of the vision. But if you wait 12 years to get it started, then you will have wasted so much time, and we don't have time to waste. There's no more time left to waste. I know that everybody on here, I can tell you about Anita. There are some things that I want to do, experience, and see, and I know that I'm not going to do them, experience them, or see them, or have them by just sitting on the other side of this screen and talking about it. I have to get up every day, and I have to put my fingers to the computer. I have to work. I have to read. I have to study. And that's, I'm calling everybody to attention. Check your BP. Check your BP. I'm going to send out an email, and I'm going to give you a checklist in the email. And I'm going to give you some things that you need to start gathering, so that when we come together next week and we hand out these worksheets and we start working, we need everybody working. That's what we're here for. We're here to motivate you. The movement is a motivational organization geared to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. We want to help you launch into your purpose so that you can live your best life and win. And what do we have to do in order to do that? We have to show up, and we have to what?
Engage.
Engage. And when we do that, what we do, Fred?
Win.
That's what I'm talking about.
Win.
You have anything you want to say in that?
Oh, I just thank everybody. to be honest with y'all, I was engaged too. I was like, when Nita was talking, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Like I never saw it before, but hey. And another thing about what you talking about, Amos, when you write it, it makes it real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean, we can see each other when you write that thing down. Because I go back and read stuff, and like I tell you, you know, as you everybody who know me, I get happy about everything, and I go back and I read some of the stuff that I've written. Like, you wrote that, girl, you bad. You better write. You know what I'm saying? So when you write that stuff, it becomes alive. There's life to it. So.
That is so true. I've written some things down in that, and it was like I forgot about it because I thought it sounded stupid at the moment. And then I went back and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna use this," and I'll put it in one of the emails or something. I found a lot of stuff like that I'm like, "Oh, that sounds so cheesy." But you know what? Sometimes it's not meant for that season.
Yeah.
Right.
But you do have to write it. The Bible says to write the vision, make it plain. You've got to write that stuff down. You've got to, I mean, I really want us to pull out pen and paper. You know, we've gotten spoiled to where everything is on the computer, but I have found myself being so much more effective when I pull out a pen and a notepad and I'll jot some things down before I go to the computer. I had to start jotting things down because I got so accustomed to typing that sometimes when I sit down in front of the computer to type, I can't get my thoughts together. But when I sit down and write, I'll cross it out and I'll write something else and I'll cross it out. Then my thoughts become more real. Like, wow, my brain is working differently because now I can see it. Because when you start writing, it's like it might make sense and it might not. And if you cross it out, or if you go to the next page, like me, I had to stop. I stopped myself from balling up the paper and starting over. It's like I got all this page left. Why am I balling up a piece of paper because I got one line that sounds stupid? No, just keep crossing out and keep moving. And then sometimes you'll look back at those lines and they'll start to make sense. And then you transfer that to the computer, and now it becomes real. You start piecing that stuff together.
Yeah.
There's power in the pen.
Yeah,
that's
true.
There's a power in actually manifesting that touch of the pen. So I want to talk about that too when we get into it next week. You know, pull out that paper and write it down. I mean, if you can't, then that's not not a big deal, but it does make a difference. So, all right, good people. So we are excited, and we're happy to say that we're closing out for the year. When we see y'all again, it will be in 2019.
Wow.
So it doesn't seem like it. 2018 just went brrr. And we put, I put a few clips from the past into the video, and I'm gonna do a couple more. We're gonna kind of like do some excerpts from different weeks, and I'll be sending those out to give everybody a glance back, just to see how far we've come. We've come a long way, and we still have a ways to go. So next week, same time, same place. Tell somebody, make sure they download Zoom. Tell them, come on, log on, and let's have a full house next week. The holidays are over. Everybody can stop sleeping, and everybody probably won't be as full next week after New Year's. And the kids' toys all be broke. Okay? Except the tablets. Don't let them break the tablets, Ebony. All righty then. So thank you all again, and we're going to say our good night. I'm going to stop the recording. This will be a long one for those who are watching and repeat.